Hello, welcome to Microfiche Microphone. I'm Micah. On this channel we look at microfiche from the past, so old newspaper articles in the public domain, and we look at them with our modern eyes and see what we can learn from them. On today's microfiche time capsule we are looking at an article from the London Magazine from 1768 in February, and it is entitled Anecdotes of Monsieur de Voltaire. In case you were not aware, Voltaire is a French author, and he's fairly well known even today. At this time, he was still alive. So these are just a few stories about him a few things that he said, a few things that people have recorded. His fame became more after he died, but at this time he was still very well known. So I found that very interesting. So at this point, I believe he was more like 50, but he was still alive. Anyways, moving on. So also, the script at this time, an S looks like an F. It is not the only S that they used. It's confusing sometimes, but it can be confusing as you read it. It looks like an F, but I promise it's an S, and that's just how they wrote back then. So I can sometimes confuse myself as well. So, Anecdotes of Monsieur de Voltaire. Okay. Monsieur de Voltaire was not 20 years old when his Oedipus was brought upon the stage. Its success was so great that Marshal Villars said to him as he came from seeing it acted, that the nation was highly obliged to him for having thus dedicated his studies to her service. Oh, that's sweet. So they're like, oh, your play was so good that, we're actually indebted to you. That's very kind. So Voltaire says, "My lord," replied the young poet very briskly, "she should be much more so if I could write as well as you can speak and act." Oh, that's sweet. So so apparently Marshal Villars was probably some sort of actor, and he was returning the compliment. I think that's very kind of him. Like, what a nice story about Voltaire. I didn't know he was such a kind person. After another representation of the same play, a courtier who was handing a lady who seemed greatly dejected said to the author, "Behold 2 fine eyes which you have just made to shed a great many tears." So oh, look, you just made this beautiful lady cry. "They will revenge themselves," replied Voltaire, "on numbers more." What does that mean? So she's going to cry some more? Monsieur de Voltaire one day asking Fontenelle what he thought of Mahomet, "It is horribly fine," replied that great genius of 90. So a lot of people admired his work. Okay. I'm not sure what the statement was before. "They will revenge themselves," replied Voltaire, "on numbers more." Does that mean she's going to make other people cry? Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like, doesn't it? So this beautiful woman is going to make other people cry, apparently. Is it because she's so beautiful? I don't know. The other statement seems to be unrelated, but people were admiring his work. So, Monsieur de Voltaire, as he was writing his tragedy of Merope, one day called his footman at 3 o'clock in the morning and gave him some verses to carry immediately to the, I think this is misspelled, I think it's supposed to be Sieur Paulin, who played the part of the tyrant in that play. The servant, excusing himself under a pretense that it was the hour of sleep, "Go, I say," continued Voltaire, "tyrants never sleep." Cute. So he doesn't mind interrupting people's sleep. I think, okay, the spelling of that first name is throwing me off. Sieur? Because I thought it was Sœur, which is like sister, so I thought it was a woman. But now if it's a person playing the tyrant, means it probably wasn't, but I don't know because I haven't actually read the play. So if anybody knows, please write it in the comments below, or if you know the correct pronunciation of that name, Sieur, Sieur? I don't know. So it sounds to me like he was very polite person in general, except when it came to respecting hours of sleep. 3 o'clock in the morning, huh? He's like, "Here, take these and take them to the person playing them because they're going to need this." And they're like, but it's literally the middle of the night. Like, oh, well, so? No, he doesn't sleep. He or she. Tyrants never sleep. Anyway, I thought that was quite interesting just to read a little bit about Voltaire as the person, who I don't think most of us know much about, which kind of makes it fun to look back at the past and see other people's perspective, because they sometimes have a much more human perspective than we do, looking back hundreds of years later. This was 250 years ago. So Voltaire lived in the 18th century. That was his time. This is written while he was still alive. So I found that very interesting to get a little glimpse of Voltaire the person instead of just Voltaire the author. So thank you for joining us for our Microfiche time capsule. I hope you enjoyed it today. And please like and subscribe the video, and I'll see you in the next video.